You keep asking God to use you, but you won't let him use the parts that still look unfinished. Hey, beautiful friend. Welcome to Fearless and Worthy Woman, Walking Boldly in Your Calling. I'm your host, Alexandria Daugherty, and this is where faith meets real life. Around here, we believe in who God says we are, obey his calling, lead with confidence, and do the work faithfully because you were never meant to play small with the gifts he's given you. Before we dive in, make sure you grab your free permission to pause lock screens in the description. We are in our Believe series this week, and today's conversation is a big one. What if the very parts of you you're still trying to fix are the exact ones God wants to use? When I first felt God calling me to start these faith-based conversations, I fought it so hard. And it's not because I didn't want to do it, because down deep I did. If you've listened to my podcast before, you've heard me say, I have always had this passion for inspiring others and wanting to add value. So it wasn't because I didn't feel ready, but I thought, who am I to talk about faith when I'm still figuring out my own? There were still things that I was healing from, and I still continue to heal from. Questions I was asking, moments where my faith felt more fragile than firm. And I told myself, when I'm more confident, when I am more consistent, when I have worked through everything, then, and only then, will I step out and actually step into what I know I'm being called to do. But, big shocker here, that day never came. What did come were continued small nudges, moments I couldn't shake, where I knew God was saying, now. Not when you've got it all sorted, not when it looks perfect, now. It took me a long time to realize he was not waiting for my perfection. He was wanting me to just give him permission and just jump all in. Permission to use my story while it's still being written. Permission to speak from the messy middle and not just from the mountaintop. I used to think that I had to clean up my mess before I could share my story, before I could lead. Now I see that God often does his best work through that mess, because that's where his grace actually shows. There's a reason we feel this constant pull to be ready. Your brain craves certainty. It wants clear answers before it makes any kind of move. That's the survival part of you trying to protect itself from rejection, failure, or even being misunderstood. It is this same instinct that keeps you from raising your hand in a group or sharing something that feels too personal. Your mind says, wait until you're sure. But faith doesn't grow in certainty. It grows in trust. Every time you take a small step while you still feel shaky, you teach your brain that obedience is safe. You're proving, one act at a time, that God's presence doesn't depend on your perfection. That's how confidence in your calling is built, not by polishing every rough edge, but by moving with God through them and allowing him to take every step right alongside you. You do not become ready and then obey. You become ready because you decided to obey anyways, even in the mess. 2 Corinthians 12:9 says, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. I feel like this verse has the potential to be really uncomfortable because weakness is something that we all try to hide. But what if we shift our perspective? Weakness isn't a flaw. It's an opportunity for growth. When I stop pretending I have to be strong all the time, I make room for his strength to actually show up. And that right there is where that peace is going to start to live. Not in this flawless version of me, because that's never going to happen, but in the surrendered one, the one that takes every bit of that mess, places it in his hands and says, all right, Use me how you need me. That brings us to our faith step of the day. I invite you to sit with this question. What part of my story have I been hiding because it still looks unfinished? Maybe it's the struggle you haven't overcome yet. Maybe it's the doubt that still creeps in when you pray. Maybe it's the version of you that doesn't match the one people see online. Bring that part to God today. I encourage you to whisper or say it in your head, Lord, if you can use this, you can have it. Ladies, you do not need to perform. You just need to be present. That is how he's going to move through your life. Not once you've perfected it, but while you're still learning to trust him in it. I hope today's episode reminded you that God does not need the polished, perfect version of you. He just wants the real one. Keep showing up, keep letting him meet you in the messy middle, and keep walking boldly in your calling. If this spoke to your heart, share it with a friend who needs it, and make sure to hit subscribe so you never miss your faith step of the day. And before you go, make sure you grab your free Truth Exchange worksheet. You will find the link in the description. Until next time, remember, you are worthy, you are so loved, and you are called, empowering you always.